Welcome to the made-up stories for kids. Fun and bright with adventures waiting day and night. Silly faces and jokes galore with cute little worms and so much more. Pickles that giggle and unicorns that shine. Mermaids swimming, oh so divine. And don't forget about the Unidragon too. It's a magical world created just for you on the made-up stories for kids. Hi everybody, my name is Chimera and this is my mom.
Hi, my name is Ezra.
And every week my mom and I are going to be telling you wonderful and magical tales about different things on our channel, the Made Up Stories for Kids. Tell your parents that you love our channel. Please like and subscribe.
Let's tune into this week's story.
All right, get ready for a really sweet story. It's called August and the Finger Monkeys, and it's all about, well, a boy, a forest that feels a little bit magical, and a couple of teeny tiny new friends. So you know that feeling, when you walk into a forest and everything just gets quiet and feels, well, magical. That's exactly how our main character, a boy named August, felt. The forest was his favorite place in the whole world. It wasn't just, a bunch of trees to him. It was this peaceful, perfect, magical world. But one day, that peaceful silence, it was broken. He heard this tiny little sound. Meow, meow. It was so faint you could barely hear it over the wind. And it sounded really, really scared. So, of course, August had to see what it was. He followed that little sound deeper and deeper into the woods, and then he saw them. Huddled together on this soft patch of moss were two of the tiniest monkeys you can possibly imagine. I mean, they were no bigger than his hands, and they just had these huge, worried eyes. Now, August knew he had to be careful not to scare them, so he got down on his knees really slowly and just started talking to them in this super soft voice, like, "Hey, it's okay." And you know what? After just a second, the braver of the two little monkeys walked right up and put its tiny, tiny hand on his finger. And right there, that was it. A brand new adventure was just getting started. Yeah, there was no way August could just leave them there all alone. He knew what he had to do. This was the start of something new, and it began with finding these little guys a safe place to call home. So he very, very gently scooped them up and let them ride all the way home right on his shoulders. And when he walked in the door, you can imagine his parents' surprise. But once he explained how the monkeys were all alone and scared, his parents, being super kind, said of course they could stay. And that very first night, August decided they needed names. The one who was a little more adventurous, always checking things out, he called him Pip. And the other one, who was a bit more shy and liked to stick close to his brother, well, he became Squeak. And you could just tell, maybe for the first time in a very long time, Pip and Squeak finally felt safe. They just curled up together in this super soft blanket August gave them, and poof, they were fast asleep. Okay, so they're safe and sound. But a new home also means a new routine, right? And the next morning, August had to go to school. And let's just say, while he was gone, Pip and Squeak were about to have a very different kind of adventure, all on their own. So the next morning comes, and it's time for school. As August is waving goodbye, promising he'll be back really soon, Pip and Squeak start making these sad little chirps. They really didn't want him to go. He told them his parents would look after them, but, all day at school, he was kind of wondering, are they being good? And the answer to that question was, oh, definitely not. When August got home, the first thing he saw was his parents just laughing in the living room because Pip and Squeak had been, well, busy. They had apparently climbed the curtains like a jungle gym, bounced all over the couch, and one of them had somehow managed to wrap himself up in an entire roll of paper towels. So, what do you do with two tiny, mischievous new friends who just hate being left alone? August realized that was the whole problem, and that's when he got this brilliant and maybe just a little bit sneaky idea. His idea was simple, really. If Pip and Squeak didn't want to be left behind, then he just wouldn't leave them behind. That's right, he was going to take them to school. So he tucks them into the pocket of his hoodie and whispers, "Okay, guys, you gotta be super quiet." And, for a while, it actually worked. But a classroom is just way too exciting for two little monkeys. First, a tiny head popped out, then another one, and before he knew it, Pip and Squeak were zipping right across his desk, and the whole class just went wild. August was thinking, oh no, I am in so much trouble. But when his teacher turned around, she wasn't angry at all. In fact, she had this huge smile on her face. I mean, how could you not? She just looked at them and said, well, this is certainly the most exciting class we've had all week. The rest of the day was just a blast. The monkeys were a huge hit, and when August got them home and asked if they liked school, they just started chirping so happily. The answer was a definite yes. So he made them a promise. Okay, you can come back with me tomorrow. So the next day, August does something pretty brave. He raises his hand in class. He didn't just bring Pip and Squeak back for fun. He actually asked his teacher if, maybe, she could teach them too. And the teacher, who I'm pretty sure had never had monkey students before, just smiled this big, warm smile and said something wonderful. Learning is for everyone. Now, at first, Pip and Squeak were just being their usual wiggly, curious selves. But then, something really amazing started to happen. As the teacher started the lesson, talking about letters, they got quiet and still. They were watching her. They were listening. It looked like they were actually trying to learn. And this wasn't just a fluke. Days turned into weeks, and every single day, August would bring Pip and Squeak to school. And every single day, they would sit there and just soak it all in. Slowly but surely, they started to learn their letters and their numbers. It got to the point where the classroom didn't feel right without them. And then, one afternoon, came the moment that changed everything. The teacher asked the class to practice writing a word. The word was cat. Simple enough, right? But as August was writing, he looked over and saw Pip. Pip was holding a tiny little pencil in his tiny hand, and he was carefully, so carefully writing a letter. Then another one, and another. C-A-T. He wrote cat. He actually did it. The whole class just crowded around his desk, totally amazed. And in that one moment, you could feel it. Everything had changed. They weren't just the class mascots anymore. They weren't just funny little monkeys visiting for the day. They were actually learning. They were part of the class. They were, for real, students. And their story, their adventure in learning was really just beginning. It's funny, isn't it? August went into the woods and found two lost little monkeys. But what he really found were two new classmates and, most importantly, the best friends anyone could ever hope for. So that leaves us with one big question to wonder about. If their first word was cat, what amazing word do you think Pip and Squeak are going to learn how to write next?